Hey guys, this is Neil at Sbardella Arms. I wanted to talk to you today about why you might consider ordering a custom 1911 in today's day and age. This isn't really meant to be a history lesson, but I do think it's important to talk a little bit about the history of the platform and understand the history of custom 1911s, sort of where they got their start and the reasons and where we're at today. So, back in the day, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, if you wanted a 1911, your option was basically Colt. Colt built nice guns, especially their older guns, but they were a production gun. Um, the way Colt built the guns is sort of that's how you were going to get them. There was no list of options. You couldn't spec them out a certain way. They built a production product, and you, that's what you were able to purchase at that time. I don't have a Colt 1911 right here in front of us, but I do have this Colt 1903, beautiful pocket hammerless. So it'll have to stand in as a Colt 1911. But so, that's sort of the way it was. You could buy a production Colt, and a lot of people did. Now, getting into the 70s, people started becoming interested in other uses for the gun, like especially toward the mid and late 70s, people were getting interested in the pistol shooting sports. You saw, especially combat shooting type sports pop up, and people were using all kinds of semi-automatic handguns, but a lot of people were using 1911s. You also had people like Colonel Jeff Cooper, who he was teaching at Gunsight, and basically teaching people how the semi-automatic pistol can be used as a defensive tool and carried for personal defense. And he was a big proponent of the 1911 as well. So people were really getting interested in, how do we carry these guns? How do we use them in competition? It'd be nice if my Colt was more reliable, So, so all of a sudden, shops started popping up to fill this need where people wanted to customize their guns and have work performed on their guns. Guys like Armand Swenson would, you could remachine the slide and install a revolver adjustable rear sight, because nobody made a adjustable rear sight for a 1911 at the time. So, guys would peen or tap on the frame rails to tighten up the slide to frame fit. They weld up the bottom lugs of the barrel and recut them for a tighter barrel fit, for better accuracy. They do stuff like cut down the ejection port to allow more room for the brass to get extracted and ejected. Basically trying to make the guns more reliable, more accurate, and more carryable. Guys would do things like offer a carry melt job, kind of. Early Colts could be very sharp, or at least have hard edges that could catch on the lining of your coat, or kind of catch or rip your clothing, snag on stuff. So guys would do what they call the melt job, kind of like when you put a fresh bar of soap in the shower, and the edges kind of all get that melted look where they're not sharp and hard anymore, And because really, the handgun is a hand tool. So, guys sort of started to figure out that you don't want a lot of sharp edges that can cut you on a hand tool you're gonna be carrying. So that continued on into the 80s. A lot of interest in the shooting sports, and companies like Wilson Combat started in the late 70s, and they were performing work on customer guns, and they sort of got into producing their own parts, and in I believe the late 90s started producing their own line of Wilson Combat brand 1911s. Guys like Ed Brown. Ed Brown was a tool maker by trade, and he started out producing his line of parts, high-end parts for 1911s to fill the demand of these custom shops who were customizing the guns. And so he started with parts and sort of worked his way to building his own Ed Brown brand guns. And then you got into companies like Kimber. This is a more modern Kimber here, who came along, and their philosophy was kind of like, well, they want to build a production gun, but they'll just include a lot of these features that people are that people want, and instead of having to go send a gun to a custom shop, Kimber would build you a gun that had some of those features. This particular gun has ambi safety, it's got a beaver tail, night sights, so you sort of get the idea there that they were filling a demand of, hey, people were looking for certain features. We'll provide that in a production gun. Shops like Les Bear popped up. I believe he was late 90s, early 2000s. This is a Les Bear Ultimate Tactical Carry here. And his philosophy was basically, old school hand fitting of the parts, and for accuracy, that is what he's most known for, is hard fit and accurate guns. And so that continued on, and these companies were building these guns basically to fill what the customers were looking for and what customers wanted. Now, the first double stack 1911 sort of came to be. You had the 2011s. You had companies like Para Ordnance building double stack 1911s, which was really interesting. Nobody had ever really seen these guns before. It's a 1911 with higher capacity, and that has sort of continued. That sort of opened up a new market of people interested in those guns. The early double stack 1911s were maybe not super reliable, so a lot of work went into, hey, how do we build a double stack magazine that's going to be reliable? That was a whole another can of worms got opened, which brings us to the modern era, sort of the 2018 to today, where companies like Wilson Combat have really transitioned more into double stack guns. You also got companies like Atlas Gunworks specializing in double stack 1911s, and they've really worked the bugs out of them to where you can purchase a high quality double stack gun that does work. And you really see how the market has changed when you look at in the past couple of years, Wilson Combat has shrunk um, their single stack catalog, basically, and they're kind of focusing on their double stack line, the EDC X9 and the SFX9. It seems to be that's where the larger market is now, and that people are interested in these higher capacity double stack guns. So where does that leave us with single stack custom 1911s in today's day and age? Well, the reasons you might want to consider ordering a single stack custom 1911. This is a Sbardella Arms brand 38 Super right here. It's a custom carry, blued finish. You know, the reality is there are many reasons why you might want to consider ordering one. If you're a single stack guy, you like single stack 1911s, you know, the first thing is quality. You know, you're looking for a quality gun. You know, maybe you've had production guns, or you have production 1911s that you know, you may or may not have had issues with, and you're looking for a quality gun that's going to work for you, and you know, the fit and finish is going to be really nice, and you want that quality piece, you know. The next reason is reliability. So on a custom 1911, you know, most reputable companies are going to put some time into fitting the firing components of the gun. You know, here at Sbardella Arms, the whole gun is fit. Every single piece is hand fit, from the barrel lockup to the tuning of the extractor and ejector, the trigger pull, things like the safeties that even a lot of companies, you know, may not spend a lot of time on. You know, how sensitive is your grip safety? You know, the tactile feel of the thumb safety. We spend a lot of time fitting that stuff so that the gun is going to be reliable, and it's going to be it's going to work. That's the biggest thing is reliability, and we want a gun that's going to work and work for our customers. You know, of course, the next biggest thing is probably accuracy. You know, inherently, these guns as a platform have the ability to be very accurate, but that's if the barrel and the slide and the frame are all properly fitted. So, you know, back in the day, when guys were, you know, building these guns and hard fitting guns, that was a major kind of selling point that customers wanted. They wanted that hard fit, you know, super accurate gun. I think a lot of companies have sort of gotten away from that, and a lot of the bigger 1911 shops are really using, they're high quality barrels, but they're what basically amounts to a drop-in barrel. I don't exactly want to call them drop-in barrels, but you know, I think people have become accustomed to, you know, the accuracy from a nice drop-in barrel is acceptable to, you know, most people. If you want to step up from that, you know, the barrels we use are Cart Gunsmith fit barrels, and they're completely oversized in all the critical areas. So we hand fit the barrels uh, for accuracy. That is the best way that you're going to get peak accuracy from your gun, is if the entire barrel and bushing is hand fit. Um, so that's another reason why you might want a custom 1911, is, you know, obviously greater accuracy than a production grade gun. Moving on, you know, features and preferences. It seems like everybody I talk to who's into 1911s has a different opinion about how the gun should be built or what features the gun should have. You know, it's a lot of that has to do with, you know, people have different size hands. People are built differently as far as carrying the guns. You know, what type of holsters you may be carrying the gun in. You know, some guys like ambi safeties, some guys don't want an ambi safety. You know, there are all kind of different sights you can put on the guns. Barrel lengths, grip lengths, as far as you know, is it going to be a commander with a full-size grip, or are you looking for like a CCO size with a officer length grip? You know, there's so many different ways this gun can be built, and it really comes down to a personal preference on what people want. But again, going with a custom 1911, you can spec the way you want the gun built. Whereas, you know, if you go with a production gun, you are stuck with the features that they offer in whatever model you're looking at. So, and I would say lastly, for reasons you would consider ordering a custom 1911, is pride of ownership. You know, everybody has something that they're interested in, whether it be sports cars or pickup trucks, or, you know, around here in Vermont, a lot of guys are into tractors, you know, just all kinds of stuff. And of course, there's a lot of gun guys that are interested in guns, and you know, to own something of very high quality, it's a pride of ownership thing. It's, you know, it gives you pride to know that you invested your hard-earned money into a firearm that was not built on an assembly line. It was built by real pistol smiths, you know, to exacting tolerances. You know, it really gives people a sense of pride in what they own and shoot and carry. So I would say those are the top reasons why you would order a custom 1911 today. So now that we've talked about reasons why you would consider ordering a custom 1911, let's talk about why you would consider ordering a Sbardella Arms 1911. Now, this is not a sales pitch. I'm really not much of a salesman. I'm just going to tell you my philosophy on how I believe this gun should be built. It's your hard-earned money, and I know you have a lot of choices. So basically, with our guns here at Sbardella Arms, I believe that you should start out with high quality components first and foremost. So, you know, there is a lot of custom or semi-custom 1911 manufacturers that build these guns with an emphasis on hand fitting and customization, but don't use the highest quality parts. I mean, it's simply a fact that, you know, a quality grip safety is going to cost you, you know, 60, 70, 80 dollars. You know, if it's machined out of bar stock, you know, a high quality thumb safety is you know, probably $70, you know. It's, and if you were to go with a cast thumb safety, I don't even know because I don't buy cast thumb safeties, but you know, it's going to be substantially less expensive. Now, you can pass that savings on to your customer and come in at a lower price point and you know, that more people may be interested in, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in building a gun out of the highest quality components that are available. So everything that goes into a Sbardella Arms 1911 is machined from forgings or bar stock. The firing components are tool steel. Everything's high quality, and it's very expensive for us to simply purchase the small parts that we purchase, the match grade cart barrels, and we do machine the slides and frames in-house, but that is a very expensive process in and of itself. Very time consuming, tedious work. Whereas, you know, of course, a cast frame is much less time and machine work to machine, to manufacture, than a high quality forged frame like we're producing here. So first and foremost would be the parts that go into the gun. You know, my philosophy on slide to frame fit, as I've explained in other videos, is I want to machine the slide to frame as close as possible while leaving the smallest amount of material to hand fit. So when each slide and frame is individually measured by a machinist and held to very, very, very tight tolerances, to where they will not go together straight out of the machine, but they will be extremely close, and the last little bit of fitting is done by hand with stones. So that's, I believe that gives you the straightest, most true frame rails, and in my mind's eye, that's the best way to do it. So of course, like I said, we hand fit the cart barrels. I like a very tight barrel lockup while still being free to operate. You know, when we're experimenting with building the guns in the beginning, you really can build a gun that's too tight. You know, it's not going to be reliable if the barrel lockup is too tight. So there's a fine line between having a really nicely fit yet reliable barrel lockup and barrel fit, and it just being too tight and it's not going to be reliable. I don't want to build guns that are not reliable, so we put a lot of time and effort into the proper barrel fit on these guns. You know, like I talked about, I want all the controls on the gun to be fit very nicely. You know, there are different people are going to have their different opinions on exactly, you know, how a thumb safety should feel, exactly how sensitive a grip safety should feel. You know, I try to fit them to be, number one, very reliable. You don't want a mushy thumb safety. You don't want a thumb safety that's going to engage while you're shooting the gun under recoil, but also I don't like stiff, you know, controls that aren't going to work for the operator. So we put a lot of time into that. On these guns, all of our guns get a beautiful melt job. In my mind, it's not overdone. It doesn't look, you know, like this Kimber here. It's a Ultra CDP2. They really rounded off a lot of the corners, kind of a lot, you know. And then what's funny is they left some of the edges still pretty hard. So it's almost like, in my mind, some of the edges are kind of over melted, and then some of the edges are not melted at all or enough. Whereas, you know, on my guns, the front, it's very important that the muzzle end of the slide is melted so that you're not shaving your leather holster while you're putting the gun in and out. The bottom of the slide is also nicely melted. All around the ejection port has a nice radius, so you're not going to get snagged or cut on any of that. You know, and there's certainly companies out there that kind of leave those edges sharp on purpose for looks, and I respect that. But in my mind, this is a hand tool, and I don't want to cut my hand open while I'm working the slide on the gun. So that's the way we build them. You know, the slide to frame and the grip safety to the frame are all hand blended. We want no sharp edges while you're gripping the grip safety and operating the gun. While the grip safety is in the up position, it is blended to the frame on top. That's more of an aesthetics looks thing. You know, why would you order a Sbardella Arms versus another custom 1911 manufacturer? Well, I'm really trying to build a classic styled gun with modern features, but yet retaining a lot of the classic options that people would want on a high grade of 1911. You know, I'm really not one to put a whole lot of modern lightning cuts on the slide. You know, I think that's cool for guys who are into that. I'm more into old school classic guns. You'll see a lot of the guns we build have no front cocking serrations. You know, just very classic looking guns. We're one of the few companies that will actually do a full flat top and serrate, like an old school custom 1911. So I would say, you know, if you're looking for a classic style custom 1911, not a modern, you know, one of these modern sort of tricked out guns, I would say give Sbardella Arms a hard look. And you know, if you would like to order one or you have any questions, you can call the shop and I'd be happy to talk you through it. So anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.